Tennant, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Musica Intima's entire 2021 season is about collaboration, and so we have had guest artists all season, and this upcoming concert we have a guest trio from the Vancouver Youth Choir, and we were really thinking of it as collaborating with our future, as these are the singers that are going to take over for Intima someday. And to me, the Vancouver Youth Choir and Musica Intima has always seemed like a very natural pairing, because I know you and I know sort of what your institution is about, but I wanted to make sure our audience also got a chance to know who you are and who the Vancouver Youth Choir is. So thank you for taking some time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
I think my first question would be, where did the Vancouver Youth Choir come from? Did you just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to start a choir, or?
Well, lots of people know this story, but I worked at the Coastal Sound Music Academy, and I ran their youth choir, and I was Diane Loomer's assistant conductor. And when she passed away, she left me some money to start my own organization, and then her husband, Dick Loomer, kind of ensured that happened in a really beautiful way. So he was our first board chair and kind of helped get things off the ground and running. So yeah, I feel really lucky to have had that support. I definitely wanted to start something that was my own. The kind of music that I like to make with young people, which is eclectic and colorful and varied. I was looking for something that I could make my own.
And then why youth? I mean, I know you. You're an incredible conductor. You're an incredible musician. You could be, I think, working at the highest professional level you want to be. So what draws you to youth particularly?
I think that I'm a very youthful person in spirit, and so I'm innately drawn to young people naturally. But also, I love the lack of inhibition, or that's not the exact way I would put it, but like I like how eager they are to experiment and willing to try something new. Whereas sometimes with older singers, and myself included, older artists, there's a level of fear or resistance to experimentation in some regard.
So it's more moldable for you.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's more dynamic sometimes. Like yeah, more dynamic. Like I feel like we can affect change together in a different way.
And so what change do you hope to affect? What's your goal for your kids?
Oh, well, that's actually a question I should have thought about. I said the sentence prior, but I think the kind of change that we're working towards is that sometimes choral music can be a little bit navel gazing and a little bit self-congratulatory and a little bit inside the box while still celebrating and proclaiming how outside the box we are. And I say we purposefully because I'm part of that. We're all part of that. We love to, pat each other on the back about how innovative we're being. And yet sometimes if you talk to people outside of our art form who are truly being innovative and truly being change makers, or like making a real impact, that we seem that we're not doing that as much. So I feel like I enjoy programming, I enjoy commissioning, and I enjoy kind of outside the box ways of presenting choral music as well. And if it's venue or staging or using the space differently. And then I also enjoy letting the music just really speak for itself. But it's the combination cocktail of those things, I think, is an important part of what VYC does.
And then for the kids that come through the program, what do you hope they leave with?
I definitely hope that they leave musically literate and musically capable. But more than that, I want them to value art in their life in some aspect and keep it in their life their whole lives, but also have an openness to all aspects of art, like a variety of cultures and colors and timbres and art forms, and to be able to value creating something beautiful together with other people, and what that brings to their lives, how the richness that brings to their lives, and the richness and the power it has for other people in that community. I just think that that's a lesson that is unique to choral music, that you're creating synchronously and spontaneously with other people, something of beauty and purpose.
So you're trying to instill this openness in these kids, and you're trying all these different things, and you're trying more styles and more genres and probably more approaches to singing than they would experience otherwise. Yet you're still at a very high level artistically, especially for youth. How do you balance that quest for artistic excellence with constant trying of new things? And are the two mutually exclusive, or why do they work together?
I think they work together because my singers work really hard and they really care about it. So I'm really lucky in that regard. But I don't know, like I find that if we're working on a specific, like we did this Slovenian piece with our sopranos and altos right before the beginning of the pandemic, where it required them to have a specific timbre. It would be like outside sound, like really bright, and outside what we would normally do in what we would call classical music. So there's some teachers that would say, "Oh, that's going to ruin their sounds," or that's going to make them push in other areas. But no, I like that color that we learned how to create, and that timbre made them stronger in other areas of their voices that we can apply. Like all of the skills that you learn from being eclectic make you stronger in all of the areas, and plus it's fun.
You train these kids to be open-minded explorers, or rather allow them to access that's already buried in themselves somewhere. What do you think is the job of professional ensembles then to foster that equally? Or not even necessarily professional ensembles, but arts organizations working at a professional level. What is it our job to do to help continue to foster that in youth?
I think that a big part of that is programming. And I see that a lot, that professional choral organizations don't program as much with their entire audience in mind. They might program with their ideal audience in mind. And so sometimes it leaves behind people that could be brought along and could be included or inspired, because they feel left out of the experience they've had at that concert.
What do you think that professional organizations can do to help foster the same mission that you're trying to do?
I think mentorship is key. It's key to what we do at VYC. And having professional choral musicians being real mentors to youth that are aspiring to be choral professionals, or just to be really high caliber choral singers in the community. Like to have that level of mentorship that's real. And by real, I mean not just doing a concert together where you arrive, stand side by side, sing the concert, and then wave on the way out the door, but to have an element of community, an element of teaching, an element of humor, an element of food, like all of those things that kind of create true mentoring relationships.
And so do you reflect that in your organization as well, right? You have a huge family of choirs, and you have senior members mentoring your younger members as well. And
we do, yeah. And it happens so beautifully for them, because our senior choir function as mentors in our junior choir, and our kids choir, they are mentors in our tiny program. And so they're in the rehearsal for each rehearsal, and they're leading sectionals, breakout sectionals, or sometimes like one-on-one coachings on solos. They're my vocal models in the room. they'll plan like social and connecting activities for the kids. It's like, and it's a really big part of the development of the younger singers. They look up to those older singers. They want to be like those older singers. They want to grow into that role themselves. And I see that as totally possible between my seniors, for example, and the professional and semi-professional adult groups in the city.
So when all this is over, whenever that is, next fall, next January, whatever, and you're back inside some high school band classroom and back together again, after you're all done crying, what's the first thing you're going to sing?
What's the first song?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just really into this beautiful Syrian song right now by Shireen Kadar. I think I'm saying that right. She's in Toronto, and it's called Laura Hal. Absolutely stunning. And we've been working on it online. I heard it for the first time in person last night, and that was a real moment for me.
You've just started a new ensemble.
Yes, yeah. Well, we're about to start it. We've just announced it. It's called VYC Kindred, and it's a choir for youth age 13 to 18 who are newcomers to Canada. And they are studying and learning from First Nations musicians Russell Wallace and Deanna Jestrin. And it's just a pilot project this year, especially with COVID, but we're hoping it's going to be a regular part of our programming moving forward. I'm really excited about it. And they're all brand new to the city, and we have mentors from VYC who are helping with that choir as well, and they're all people from our program or in our choirs who have moved to Canada in their lives, so they've had that lived experience of being a newcomer. So
I have been doing a lot of composer interviews, and so I always ask them what's one thing they would want the audience to take away from their piece. But for you, it's you have an audience member leaving any concert that you've given. What do you hope that they leave with?
I talk a lot about how amazing youth are these days and how little credit we give them for how phenomenal they are. I love hearing an audience member say, I have hope for the future after tonight. That's something that nothing could make me more happy. The number two one is that was a truly artistic experience. So that's 1-2 for me.
Perfect.
And I talk about a lot about programming. I talk about this a lot when I talk about programming, but I want my audience to feel included and challenged. And if they've left not having felt either of those things or not having felt one of those things, then we haven't done our job as artists.